welcome to Tuesday. Today we're going to keep reading Beezus and Ramona. When we left off, Beezus had been babysitting Ramona, lost her, and then found her in the basement eating a whole box of apples. She had eaten one bite out of every apple because she thought the first bite tasted the best. So now Beezus is really upset and thinks that they're both going to get in trouble. She climbed up onto a chair where she sat with her legs sticking straight out in front of her. She folded her hands in her lap and said in a quiet little voice, "Don't bother me. This is my quiet time. I'm supposed to be resting." Quiet times were something else Ramona had learned about in nursery school. When she didn't want to do something, she often insisted she was supposed to be having quiet time. Beezus was about to say that Ramona didn't need quiet time because she hadn't been playing hard, and Mother had said she already had a nap. But when she thought better of it, if Ramona wanted to sit in a chair and be quiet, let her. She might stay out of mischief until Mother came home. Beezus had no sooner sat down to work on her pot holders, planning to keep an eye on Ramona at the same time, when the telephone rang. It must be Aunt Beatrice, she thought, before she answered. Mother and Aunt Beatrice almost always talked to each other during about this time of day. "Hello, darling. How are you?" asked Aunt Beatrice. "Oh, Aunt Beatrice," cried Beezus, "Ramona has just done something awful, and I was supposed to be looking after her. I don't know what to do." She told about Ramona's hiding in the cellar and biting into half a box of apples. Aunt Beatrice laughed. "Leave it to Ramona to think of something new," she said. "Do you know what I would do if I were you?" "What?" asked Beezus eagerly, already feeling better because she had confided her troubles in her aunt. "I wouldn't say anything more about it," said Aunt Beatrice. "Lots of times little children are naughty because they want attention. I have an idea that saying nothing about her naughtiness will worry Ramona more than a scolding." Beezus thought this over and decided her aunt was right. If there was one thing Ramona couldn't stand, it was being ignored. "I'll try it," she said. "And about the apples," Aunt Beatrice went on. "All I can suggest is that your mother might just make applesauce." This struck Beezus as being funny, and as she and her aunt laughed together over the phone, she felt much better. "Tell your mother I phoned," said Aunt Beatrice. "I will," promised Beezus, "and please come over soon." When Beezus heard her mother drive up, she rushed out to meet her and tell her the story of what Ramona had done. She also told her Aunt Beatrice's suggestion. "Oh dear, leave it to Ramona," sighed Mother. "Your aunt was right. We won't say a word about it." Beezus helped her mother carrying the groceries into the house. Ramona came into the kitchen to see if there were any animal crackers among the packages. She waited a few minutes for her sister to tattle on her. When Beezus didn't say anything, she announced, "I was bad this afternoon." She sounded pleased with herself. "Were you?" remarked Mother calmly. "Beezus, I think applesauce would be good for dessert tonight. Will you run down and bring up some apples?" When Ramona looked disappointed at having failed to arouse any interest, Beezus and her mother exchanged smiles. "I want to help," said Ramona, rather than being left out. Beezus and Ramona made 4 trips to the basement to bring up all the bitten apples. Mother said nothing about their appearance, but spent the rest of the afternoon peeling and cooking apples. After she finished, she filled her 2 largest mixing bowls, a casserole, and the bowl of her electric mixer with applesauce. It took her quite a while to rearrange the contents of the refrigerator to make room for all the applesauce. When Beezus saw her father coming home, she ran out to the front walk to tell him what had happened. He too agreed that Aunt Beatrice's suggestion was a good one. "Daddy!" shrieked Ramona when her father came home. "How's my girl?" said Father as he picked up Ramona and kissed her. "I was bad today," said Ramona. "Were you?" said Father as he put her down. "Was there any mail today?" Ramona looked crestfallen. "I was very bad," she insisted. "I was awful." Father sat down and picked up the evening paper. "I hid from Beezus and I bit lots and lots of apples," Ramona went on insistently. Said Father from behind the paper. "I see they're going to raise bus fares again." "Lots and lots of apples," whispered Ramona in a loud voice. "They raised bus fares last year," Father went on, winking at Beezus from behind the paper. "The public isn't going to stand for this." Ramona looked puzzled and then disappointed, but she did not say anything. Father dropped his paper. "Something certainly smells good," he said. "Smells like applesauce. I hope so. There's nothing I like better than a big dish of applesauce for dessert." Because Mother had been so busy making applesauce, dinner was a little late that night. At the table, Ramona was unusually well behaved. She did not interrupt. She did not try to share her carrots the way she usually did, because she did not like carrots. As Beezus cleared the table and Mother served dessert, which was fig Newtons and, of course, applesauce, Ramona's good behavior continued. Beezus found that she was not very hungry for applesauce, but the rest of the family appeared to enjoy it. After Beezus wiped the dishes for Mother, she sat down to embroider her pot holders. She had decided to give Aunt Beatrice a pot holder with a dancing knife and fork on it, instead of the one with the tea kettle. Ramona approached her with Big Steve the steam shovel in her hand. "Beezus, will you read to me?" she asked. "She thinks I'll say no, and then she can make a fuss," thought Beezus. "Well, I won't give her a chance." "All right," she said, putting down her pot holder and taking the book while Ramona climbed into the chair beside her. Big Steve was a steam shovel. He was the biggest steam shovel in the whole city. Beezus read. "Grrr," growled Big Steve when he moved the earth to make way for the new highway. Father dropped his newspaper and looked at his two daughters sitting side by side. "I wonder," he said, "exactly just how long this is going to last." "Enjoy it while it does," said Mother, who was basting patches on the knees of Ramona's overalls. "Grrr," growled Ramona. "Grrr." Beezus also wondered just how long this was going to go on. She didn't enjoy growling like a steam shovel, and she felt perhaps that Ramona was getting her own way after all. "I'm trying to like her like I'm supposed to, anyhow," Beezus thought. "And I do like her more than I did this afternoon when I found her in the basement. But what on earth will Mother ever do with all that applesauce?" We have some more time, so we can move on to chapter 5. A party at the Quinbys. There's a picture of them preparing for the party. Saturday morning turned out to be a cold and rainy one. Beezus wiped the breakfast dishes for her mother and listened to Ramona, who was riding her tricycle around the house singing "Copycat, copycat, copycat" over and over at the top of her voice because she liked the sound of the words. Beezus and her mother finished the dishes and went into the bedroom to put clean sheets on the beds. "Copycat, copycat," droned Ramona's singing voice. "Ramona, why don't you sing something else?" her mother asked at last. "We've been listening to that for a long time." "Okay," agreed Ramona. "I'm going to have a party. I'm going to have a party." "Thank you, Ramona. That's better." Mother held one end of the pillow under her chin while she slipped the other end into a fresh case. "You know, that reminds me," she said to Beezus. "What would you like to do to celebrate your birthday next week?" Beezus thought a minute. "Well, I'd like to have Aunt Beatrice over for dinner. She hasn't been here in such a long time. And I'd like to have a pink birthday cake with frosting." Beezus smoothed a fresh sheet over the bed. She almost enjoyed helping Mother when they could talk without Ramona interrupting all the time. The rain beat on the window, and Ramona's happy sing-song made the day seem cozy and peaceful. "All right, that's exactly what we'll do." Mother seemed really pleased with Beezus's suggestion. "It's a long time since we've seen Aunt Beatrice, but of course teachers always have a lot to do when school starts." Beezus noticed that Mother gave a little sigh as she smoothed the side of her sheet. "She'll probably have more time now that the semester has started, and it really isn't long before Thanksgiving and Christmas vacations. We'll see a lot of her then." "Why, Mother misses Aunt Beatrice too," thought Beezus. "I believe she misses her as much as I do, even though she never says so." Leaving Beezus with the new and surprising thought that grown-ups sometimes missed each other, Mother gathered up the sheets and pillows that had been removed from the beds and carried them down to the basement. While she was downstairs, the telephone rang. Answer it, will you, Beezus?" Mother called. When Beezus picked up the phone, a hurried voice said, "This is Mrs. Kemp. Do you mind if I leave Willa when I bring Howie over this afternoon?" "Just a minute, I'll ask Mother." Beezus called down the basement stairs, repeating the question. "Well, I guess not," Mother replied. "Mother says it's all right," Beezus said into the telephone. "Thank you," said Miss Kemp. "Now Howie, stop banging. Have a chance to do some shopping." "Well," thought Beezus when she hung up, "things won't be quiet around here much longer." Howie, who was in Ramona's class at nursery school, was the noisiest little boy she knew, and he and Ramona often quarreled. Willa Jean was an awkward age. Too big to be a baby, not too big to be out of diapers. "You know," said Mother, when she came up from the basement, "I don't remember telling Mrs. Kemp that Howie could come over this afternoon, but maybe I did. I've had so much on my mind lately trying to get the nursery school rummage sale organized." After an early lunch, Mother decided that there would be enough time to wash everybody's hair before Howie and Willa arrived. She put on her oldest dress because Ramona always squirmed and got soap all over her. Then she stood Ramona on a chair, made her lean over the kitchen sink, and went to work. Ramona howled, as she always did when her hair was washed. When Mother finished, she rubbed Ramona's hair with a bath towel, turned up the furnace thermostat so that the house would be extra warm, and gave Ramona 2 graham crackers to make up for the indignity of having her hair washed. Then Beezus stepped into the stool and bent over the sink for her turn. After Mother had washed her own hair, and before she went into the bathroom to clean up her curls, she said to Beezus, "Would you mind getting out the vacuum cleaner and picking up those graham cracker crumbs Ramona spilled in the rug?" Beezus did not did not mind. She rather liked running the vacuum cleaner if her mother didn't make a regular chore of it. I'm going to have a party, sang Ramona above the roar of the vacuum cleaner. Then she changed her song. Here comes my party, she chanted. Beezus glanced out the window and quickly switched off the vacuum cleaner. 4 small children were coming up the front walk through the rain. A car stopped in front of the house, and 3 more children climbed out. 2 more were splashing across the street. Mother, cried Beezus, come here quick. Ramona wasn't pretending. Mother appeared in the living room just as the doorbell rang. One side of her hair was up in pin curls, and the other side hung wet, dripping in a towel on her back. Oh my goodness, she exclaimed, and then she understood the situation. That explains Mrs. Kemp's phone call. Ramona, how could you? I wanted to have a party, explained Ramona. I invited everyone yesterday. We'll see what happens with this party tomorrow.